Now I'm looking back. No, things.
Oh, look who's here!
Oh my God! Yeah.
We were just talking about your ex-wife. I didn't see.
Hey, what's up? The reason I had to go to court today?
What up, dog? You're welcome. You're the reason you are the reason you had to go to court today.
Absolutely, 100.
You are the reason.
100%. To quote the great Kevin Brennan, I was a bad boy.
You were a bad boy.
Wait, so I don't even know if you know this, but Keanu seems to think that April Imholt is now living back with her parents.
The court documents would spell that out. Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted people to. I didn't know how I knew that she was at home. I forgot you told me that, but isn't that it's
public? It's public record. She was. That's the address she put on when she was served with the subpoena.
Chug, Mom. I did.
You know, I read the discovery, Keanu, and I will say this.
What?
Gino stayed loyal.
He's a loyal boy.
All Gino told was the truth.
Well, what did I tell? That's all I told. I told what I saw and what I knew. Was I meaner about the truth?
The spices you threw in were a little.
All right, but don't think I didn't tell the truth. Maybe it was.
You didn't say anything that wasn't true. But
Gino was spicier. He was like, "This is stupid."
Okay, you're right. He was spicier.
Your was fine, Mommy.
It was more in my favor. His spice.
I hear you. There you go. Yeah.
Wait. Did your lawyer ever think this would be like a serious charges? Like you were saying, we watched a clip. You were talking about a felony. Did your lawyer really, or did he never guess on what it would be? You'd end up being.
He said two things at the very beginning. He said, you'll never do jail time and you won't have a felony.
Because what you did was so in the grand scheme of things, it's so insignificant. I mean, you sent a picture on your phone. It wasn't revenge porn. It wasn't anything.
No, but it was wrong, and I hurt people.
People do wrong things all the time.
I know, I don't. It's not a. It's I know a lot of people. I've seen people writing on Twitter and shit and on YouTube and all that. They're like, another win for the Toe. I did a shitty thing. I did something mean. It was a bully thing, and it was a boy shithead thing to do. And I'm really glad I got to go to court today and say that, because now I can say it here. You got to remember, people were like, "Oh, Aaron."
Wait, did you say boy in court?
Oh yeah, I said I was an N-word boy, and they appreciated that. It's St. Cloud.
You know it was a douchey thing to do. You knew it was awful, but look what you had just gone through, getting like cucked out of your life. You were trying to like.
Thanks, Keanu. Appreciate it.
It's true. Nobody should ever do that. But is it?
But Steel Toe, when you were doing it at the time, you didn't think it was a terrible thing, right?
Yeah. Let's just say
you said to Gino. You said to Gino, your boy's not doing so bad. So you're obviously it was lighthearted.
Well, Keanu was there at the time. It was definitely a guy who was going through some shit, who just wanted his buddy to tell him he was doing okay. Because I needed to hear it. It was a retarded, shitty thing to do. And I was the wonderful specimen you see in front of you now. That was not the guy who sent the text message.
At that point, April was living there, and you were mad at both of that. You were mad at the three of them, right?
I really wasn't. No, I wasn't mad. I had filed for divorce already, and it was. I think everything was signed at that point, or at least was signed within the week. I was like kind of depressed about the whole thing, because I was kind of finally admitting to myself how degenerate and gross and disgusting it was. And I was like, God, at least let somebody, and like nobody was disagreeing with me. That's the thing. Like sometimes you say shit to people, you confess what you did, and you're hoping they're going, oh, it's okay. It's okay. But nobody was doing that. They were just kind of like, yeah, you gross. And so I just wanted somebody to be like, hey, good job, buddy. And is retarded. Keanu had a question, though. I was very interested to hear what her question was.
And also, Joe Piscopo's on the Dabbleverse radar because he's a lead into Anthony Cumia's 77 WABC show.
There you go. Toe, actually, we're inquiring minds want to know, while you were in the polycule, were you cheating on the polycule with Slam Piece?
No, I was not. While I was cheating on my wife, I was not cheating on my wife.
Which I thought, okay, well.
Hey, I have a question. How many wives have you cheated on?
All of them. Honestly,
Maybe you shouldn't get married anymore. If you've
Hey,
cheated on all your life.
Michaelene. Hey.
Michaelene.
It's the only reason I'm here to hear you sing that like that.
yeah, she loves it. We can't get enough. We can.
So, are you a sex addict like Wade Boggs or something crazy?
I don't know if I was a sex addict, but I was I'll say this. I was probably closer than I'd ever like to be.
I forgot about the SpaghettiOs.
That's not
Yeah, but if that was the only food in the house, that was okay.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's just that, like, when people are knocking on the door and being like, "I'm hungry," I'm like, "Well,
Oh, that is. Oh, that is.
But you guys are having foursomes and doing coke, and the kids are hungry.
I can't talk about anything like that. But all I can say is that, like, honestly, making SpaghettiOs for some kids is like the bare minimum. It's not a hero thing. It's still, you were still a garbage person who did garbage things. You were just the least garbage. Like, that's not a
You were just a little teeny bit of trash.
Right.
I was a lot of bit of trash, but I did mildly redeeming things in between.
Right. You weren't there when they battering rammed the door down. So
Thank Christ.
Thank goodness.
Wait, so is Nick? I don't know if you even know this. Is Nick Ricotta going to Hackmania in May?
Judge has to let him go. What do you call it? The probation that he's going to be on, no drinking, no drugs, probably 5 years or so. And the court has to approve every, time he crosses state lines.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you can go wherever you want.
Until the sentencing, yes. But like part of my release conditions are that I just have to let them know if I'm leaving. So like, I don't have to get permission. I just have to go, hey, on this date to this date, I'm going to be here. My lawyer sends that to them and then I go.
So what kind of sentencing are we talking about?
We're looking at probation and a $50 fine.
Oh, so that's
wait, you're still going to get sentenced?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's part of pleading. Like, you don't just say, hey, I did it. And they go, see you later. You get like a year of jail stayed. They don't give you the year of jail. Instead, they go for X amount of time. In this case, 0 months to 2 years. You can't do this. And mine's going to be the terms of my release, not saying or mentioning or going near certain things or people or whatever. I have to do that. And then there's probationary discretion. Basically, they can go, all right, 2 years probation is the maximum. But after a couple of months, they're like, we really don't have anything to do with you. You're good. Like, we're not going to monitor you anymore.
I think everybody should have a jail stay at least once.
Have you, Michaelene? Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird take, Michaelene. I'm not gonna lie.
Minnesota's a pretty loosey-goosey state.
It's a joke.
Does this little piggy bother you, Aaron?
No, I gotta say that, like, as a guy who grew up watching Stern and as a radio guy and like all that stuff, I think any kind of attention is good attention. Like, either people hate you a whole lot and they just root against you and they're passionate about it, or they love you and they want to see you do well. The thing you hate the most is people who don't give a shit. So I love that I've inspired people to do whole shows based on how much they hate my guts.
Can you say, Toe, the person that kept calling every day?
The person that kept calling every day.
There is a man that I don't want to say it because.
Well, there's only one person I can't mention.
Having to do with your court thingy. And then that person called every single day and was crazy.
You're going to have to.
I don't know. You texted us about this.
Put it in the private chat.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of that piggy show or whatever, who do you find more annoying, Carl or Melton?
And I hate to say this, I really don't find either of them annoying because I understand their motivation.
Are you like Jesus? You just turn the other cheek or something?
He does. He always has something positive to say about everything.
Kevin, I've been doing this. I've been doing this for so long. I'm so
since you were 18, right? Oh, that's Opie.
No, I was 19. I started radio when I was 19. I'm a year later than Opie. Opie got the jump on me. But like, when you understand people's motivation, you don't hold it against them. Like, Carl had nothing after John, so he needed to latch on to somebody. The only thing is, like, Carl used to call me on the phone and like talk to me. He's like, this Milton guy's weird. What's his weird obsession with you? And then the minute he found out he could make money with me, he kind of shifted towards that. And then with also he's a Dick Masterson guy, Juju the Cow. Carl's like, that's Carl's.
Wait, so you and Carl were friendly enough that you guys would speak on the phone
during like Vikings Bills games? We'd be texting back and forth. He
no,
called
but not just texting, talking on the phone.
Oh, he called me on the phone one day. He's like, "What's the deal with this Melton guy?" Like when Melton started going after us, he like called me and he was going, "What's the deal with this Melton guy? He's weird. Your show is fine. You just do a show. I don't get the obsession with it." And then when the Nick thing happened, Nick is like a Dick Masterson baby, and Carl's a Dick Masterson baby. So Carl had to get Nick's back because he can't lose his endorsement from Dick Masterson. So then he teamed up with Melton, but he was losing his Stuttering John heat, so he needed to move on to somebody else. And I was the thing that drew money. And like, Carl, he can't do a show on his own. He's the Opie of his own universe. He needs other people around him. That's why he took Jocktober. So Carl globbed onto me. Patrick globbed onto me. That's how they make money. I'm not going to fault anybody for making a living, especially
let them get their bag. That's right,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Let them get their bag. Let them make some money.
That's not my philosophy, by the way.
I know you're a burn it down kind of guy.
Yep.
Hey, Paul, are we supposed to talk about the Toe's return to radio? Blocked. Yeah, that's another thing that the Melton people have. Like,
Wait, who's Paul? Who's Paul?
Well, this is a guy I went to high school with, and he runs the one radio company that I don't talk to. And like, I talked to the other two radio companies in town, but like the Melton people are so like, they're so terrified of me going back to radio that they're like, no, it has to be this Paul guy. And this Paul guy wrote an article about my plea deal. And so I talked about it on the show, and I guess he got really butthurt about it. And he was like, no.
But offended.
He got really offended. I'm sorry. Yeah. He got really upset that I talked about it on my show. So he went talking to the street shitter that hangs out with Melton. I can't remember his name. And he was like, oh, I fucking hate Aaron and this and that. And I'm like, that's weird, because this is the same guy who, when we were at our buddy's wedding, he asked me to get a hold of him about a radio gig. And then I don't know. Like, it's this weird deal where I've been talking to 2 out of the 3 radio companies in this town. And the one I'm not talking to is the one that my old friend Paul works for. And I guess I pissed him off somehow. I don't know. It's very confusing. That whole Onion world and their vitriol towards me, it's really hard to figure out where it started.
I heard Chad's talking to some of the same radio stations you're talking to.
Dude, what if Chad and I did a morning show together?
I'd listen.
That would be really good.
No, Chad said since Kumia got an AM job, and then you were talking about, he said he's been making some phone calls.
It was so funny because the people I've been talking to, they swore to me. They're like, oh no, this thing you're going through has no impact on what we're talking about. Meanwhile, all the meetings I have scheduled with them are all after today's court date. Like,
they were lying to you.
Yeah. They were like, no, the felony thing, none of that, man. We'll work around anything. And then as soon as like they figured out there was a deal and there was no felony, they're like, all right, I got a meeting in May and I got a meeting in June. So it could be worse, I guess.